La canoa de Bareque para llegar a la playa.
And we're back. This is the third segment of episode 352 of the Colombia Calling podcast. I'm Richard McColl here in Bogota, Colombia. And my very special guest this week is originally from Bogota. He studied music at the Universidad del Bosque and the Universidad Nacional here in the city. He's on the line to us from Paris, so the capital of France, where he works as he's a music teacher, he's a musician. His name is Diego Franco, and with other musicians, he's created something called PianoMóvil, or I guess movable piano, which is a project that brings music and live music, but a different sort of live music, to many regions, I would say, out of bounds regions around Colombia in order to, I guess, inspire children, help communities, and so on. So let me just say, welcome and thank you so much for your time, Diego Franco, for agreeing to come on this episode 352 of the Colombia Calling podcast.
Hello, thank you. Thank you very much for this invitation.
No, it's absolutely wonderful, and I know you're nervous about your English, but we know it's perfect.
Yes, yeah.
We know it's
my primary language, but yes, I'll do my best.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine. You can always switch into French if you want, I think.
All right.
No, please don't, because my French is very rusty. But tell me a little bit about yourself. You're a musician. You're classically trained. You're from Bogota. How did you end up in Paris?
In Paris, well, I always dreamed of studying abroad to perfection to better go deeper into my studies to better know classical music, classical tradition. So yes, Europe is the root place for this kind of music, for classical music. So that was what I was searching for, and I'm here since 2010. So it's been a while.
Yeah, 10 years. Well, that means you're probably a French citizen now.
Almost. Not yet, but yeah.
Well, awesome. What I'd like to know then is about the project, this PianoMóvil that you're doing, that you do, I guess, annually around Colombia. Tell us about this and how this came about.
Yes, PianoMóvil is a project I started back in 2014. I invited some French friends and Colombian friends. And we created started the structure, the non-profit organization behind. It's called Euphonia, and PianoMóvil is our main project, our principal activity, and it consists of taking a grand piano and we load it into a truck, and we invite musicians, as you said, and music teachers, and we go to distant places in Colombia, to some of the most isolated places in Colombia, I would say, and we try to show people something different. We do concerts, we do workshops, we invite children, we invite youngs, we invite everybody, and it's a very special moment for all of us. Yes.
Well, and this is something that you created yourself, obviously with some friends, but Euphonia. But this is an idea that came up in your mind. Let's take a grand piano out to isolated parts of Colombia.
Yes. Yeah, it sounded crazy. I was nervous at the beginning about that. But it worked. I was surprised from the very moment. The response from people was amazing, and we soon understood that there was something meaningful about it. Taking into account the context in Colombia, there is a need of moments of appreciation in art and this kind of things. So yeah.
Well, I think that you're right, and it's a type of art therapy, and this is something that we've talked about before on the Colombia Calling podcast, is how art music as well can heal. And I would imagine that these communities that you go to, I've been to places in Caquetá and so on, and I've seen it. You took the grand piano down to Caquetá. This is an out of the way place, and the only music that they get is from, like, say, from the army radio station or the national radio station, which is all either vallenato or música del despecho, or breakup music, you know, at 4 a.m., which it can be quite repetitive, let's say. So I suppose, you know, that you are bringing classical symphonies to these areas. You are almost like an extraterrestrial.
Yes, that's the starting idea. Let's say I arrived with this piano. You have other instruments, but it's true that it is the piano that let's say occupies the biggest, that represents the biggest challenge in terms of logistic, and yes, I play. I always begin with classical music, classical repertoire for the piano. I always try to include Latin American composers as well and Colombian composers as well. But then we invite also local musicians to participate, and we end up improvising and doing maybe some of traditional music in Colombia. About Colombian traditional music, and maybe it's always different. We try to do a first concert a little more formal, and a second concert more in exchange with the local musicians and local communities. Sometimes there are, for example, music teachers that work with children and that have like choirs or little orchestras or some things like that. And we always invite them to participate as well. The idea is to meet, to share, to create a special moment, a sharing moment. And yes, sometimes it is like, sometimes we are extraterrestrial. Yes, that will be a good term to describe it. In Caquetá, for example, we went to this indigenous community, the Minga indigenous people. They are in a place called Yurayaco. And this was it was a very touching moment for us, because they have never seen something like that. Yes, a piano, a grand piano in the middle of these mountains, and etc. So yes, I search my words to describe it, but it is full of meaning for us. Yes.
I'd love to explore this a little bit more. How, first of all, do you choose a community? When you talk about this community in Caquetá, this indigenous community, how did you decide this is where we're going? This community needs to see and hear a grand piano.
Yeah, well, I have the feeling that anywhere in Colombia we could do this, and it would be as important and as special. But each year we try just to follow the how do you call it, the invitations from people. Sometimes there's someone who heard about us and send us an email, and we think if these people over there they think this would be a good idea, so we answer to that. Mainly what we need the help from the communities. Sometimes this is families that organize themselves to host us. Sometimes it's a school. Sometimes it's more official, maybe with a mayor from a little town, something like that. So it's always different. Sometimes it's a church, for example. So it's always different, and we would like to have enough the capacity to go everywhere. That would be so. For the moment, it's just a start. Let's hope.
Yeah, of course, but I mean, Colombia is so big, and
it's so big.
The geography is so challenging, and that brings me to. You talked about logistics. Again, you say bringing this piano to a mountain community. do you have to, I mean, all of these places surely are, you have to get there by road, or do you have to get I mean, are you taking your piano down the rivers, or are you airlifting it? I have an image of an army helicopter with a grand piano underneath
I
it.
would love to do that. That's my dream.
So you haven't done that yet?
No, not yet. Yes, but I would love it to have like a partnership with the army, and to really take this piano to some really inaccessible sites, places. But for the moment, this is the road, so it's a track. Okay. But the idea is that, well, the message part of the message we're trying to convey is that every little town and every community in Colombia is important, and they deserve a first-class treatment, let's say. So we have been tempted to use a smaller piano, maybe an electrical piano or something like that. But we try to insist that no, the idea is to offer the very best we can, even if it is complicated. That's part of the spirit. And the logistics of moving a piano, it's interesting for the people, just to see the piano coming, to see it when we're taking it down from the truck. Very often there's people they help us. They are the very first to try to participate, and they ask if they can help us to move it from one place to another. So that's part of the adventure. And yes, sometimes we've taken some risks sometimes, but the piano for the moment has not suffered.
Well, no, I mean, I can imagine, but you see these communities and where you end up getting, I think, and I've seen I've not seen what you've done. I've seen some of the pictures, but let's say you go to a far off community, you are so exotic and you're bringing something to them and something to be shared that everybody wants to be involved. And so even if that means helping lift this ton piano out of the back of a truck, I don't think the impact is the same if you brought a smaller electric piano. I think I'd love to see you sort of floating down on a planchon on like the river Yari, playing, Beethoven.
That's always that's part of the dream. Let's hope for that as well. But there have been some amazing places. There's a photograph we did in this is in I think it was in La Virginia in Risaralda. They have a bridge over the river, the Cauca River, and we put the piano right in the middle. This was a very beautiful spectacle to see visually. I mean, and yes, we have done things like that. For example, we passed by the Armero town. Do you know this story of Armero?
Yes. Yeah. The town that was wiped out by the collapse of the volcano.
Yes. And we thought we need to do something. We cannot just pass by like that. So we decided to do like a music performance. And you have this today. You have this cross that was visited by the Pope at the time. This big cross, and we put down we installed our piano over there, and we made some beautiful images and things like that. So yes, there's an artistic part of it as well, of course, and this discovery of the landscapes in Colombia, that is part of the adventure as well.
To do a concert or to do a performance in a place where something of such tragedy and such emotional hardship has taken place, and I remember seeing the pictures on the news of the Armero disaster when I was a boy in London, and my father was watching the news, and we had the images of the young girl Omaira stuck in the mud, and obviously who then sadly tragically died. But for you to put a piano and to play in this area, do you feel that you are helping lift some of the heavy emotions there, helping the people and we're talking, it's however many years ago. I mean, it's I can't remember. Was it 83?
Yeah, like
or
30
something?
years ago, yeah, something like that. 85, I think,
yeah,
yes.
we had a big. It was a big anniversary, wasn't it? I think. And do you think that this might help heal in some way the music in this place? You're bringing a different memory.
Well, in a little, our little proportion of yes. I mean, yes. For us, the people that were there, and we met, for example, the local guides. You know, there's this associate, this little structure of people that are trying to keep alive the memory of what happened and to remember people, the lessons we should keep from that experience, the failures of the government, and at that time, the things that could be done to prevent this kind of natural these catastrophes. Yes, which is as this is something that is so relevant for today. For example, right now, as we know, in Colombia, we heard of the flooding in the Caribbean coast. So we have so much to do in order to protect our people from all these kinds of dangers. And Armero, it's a lesson we should and so these people, these guides we met, they were very touched by our visit, because these are people that do a very important work, and that there are seldom not enough people don't know enough about them, for example. So PianoMóvil can help to how would you say that, to visualize yes, to visualize local projects that are worthy, that we should be looking at. Sometimes it's a cultural project, sometimes it's an artistic or educational project, sometimes it's like in Armero, it's something that has that kind of relevance. And PianoMóvil can show people those things that are occurring in many places in Colombia.
And so we've talked about places in Caquetá, and we've talked about Armero, which is Tolima, I want to say, or just beside it.
Yes.
And have you been to places that have been particularly affected by the internal conflict, by the violence in Colombia?
As well, yes. It's always touching to discover. I don't know. It's as touching for them as it is for us, for the people that come. Sometimes there are journalists with us, principally from the Radio Nacional de Colombia, that come with us, and they go interviewing people and telling stories about other things besides the music, and so it's a moment of this mutual discovery, I would say. People tell us their stories. We are touched by those stories, and we try to do to give them also the best gift we can think of. For it's just yes, voila.
Voila is perfect. So, tell us a little bit more about the project. How do you make this happen? Because obviously 2020 has been a difficult year.
Something happened.
Something happened. We've always mentioned that. When do you hope to come back to do this again? Because the idea, I think, was that annually you would come for a month or so and travel between towns and bring the music and bring a different, I want to say in Spanish, a different aire to these towns. So, are we looking at seeing you again, if it's possible, in 2021?
Oh yes, I hope so. Yes, so.
And how is this funded? I mean, where do we get? I bet we have to help you. I mean, where can people sign up to help you?
Oh yes, that's the thing. Every year we try to convey this message to everybody. So we're looking for help. We're looking for donations. We don't have still our own piano, neither our own truck. So every year we rent it. But we hope that in time we will be able to have the enough support to have our own piano and to maybe our own track and do this every year and maybe in other moments of the year as well. So yes, it's our site web, pianomóvil.com, pianomóvil.com. Yes, PianoMóvil in Spanish. No, not piano mobile, but pianomóvil.com, and there's a little button donate. And yes, we are looking for help. We need help, and we will do with whatever we have at the moment. Sometimes, if donations works well, we can visit more places, and if we have a little less money, we do less places. But anyway, we try always to do something and then to keep on trying. And yes, that's the spirit.
Okay, so pianomóvil.com, you can find everything on that. Now, Diego, I have another, because you've been to a town which, it's a bizarre thing, but for me has been a great interest. I've never been to this town. I was in Girardot some years ago, and I'm not a big fan of Girardot, but I was invited to go.
It's very hot.
Yeah, I don't mind heat. Heat is fine for me. I have hotels in Montpos. It's hot.
Yeah.
I don't mind the heat. We were invited for a weekend away, like all Bogotanos go down to fincas or holiday homes. And so we were invited there, and I know that Girardot is reasonably close to this town where you went, called Agua de Dios.
Yes.
And Agua de Dios is Colombia's. It's the leper colony.
Yes.
And I started reading about the history of this leper colony. So all leprous people were basically sent to Agua de Dios. But now I guess there's still a leper colony there, a hospital, and a lot of investigations into leprosy. But what made you choose Agua de Dios? This is just my personal fascination with the place.
Yes, and it is a fascinating place. Yes, and this was one of my biggest dreams for PianoMóvil, and I need to thank very much the Radio Nacional last year, because they supported a lot for this concert, and it was the biggest concert we had made.
Oh, really?
And yes, because the idea was, there's a Colombian composer, Luis Antonio Calvo. He's a composer. He's a well-known composer for pianist. Some of the most played piano music, Colombian music, is his compositions, and he has a very touching story, because his music is so beautiful. He lived in the first half of the 20th century, and he was born in Santander, but he died in Agua de Dios because he was locked down over there because of leprosy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he made a lot of his music from there, and when you study his life, you learn a lot about the situation of leprosy disease at this time back in the first half of 20th century, and I was very. I remember I was very. Then again, touch. I don't know another word for that. Yeah. When I visited this place for the first time, because in the middle of the Central Park, there is a statue for him, Luis Calvo. So there he is with a piano, this statue. And that was very good. In Colombia, statues are more often for Simon Bolivar and this type of historical figures from the independence, but to see a musician as the symbol in the middle of the principal park, that was a surprise for me. And the idea was to do the final concert of the PianoMóvil tour, and this was last year, so 2019, to do the final concert in Agua de Dios in honor, yes, in honor to Luis Calvo, and to invite many pianists to come over. Not just me, because I did the tour, but to invite other pianists and to meet in Agua de Dios, and to play a lot of Luisa Calvo music. And for my surprise, Radio Nacional, they loved the idea, they supported it, and we could invite some special profiles. There are pianists in Colombia that are doing amazing works, recording and studying the music of Luisa Calvo. And I would like to mention Sergio Spina, for example, is a writer that just published a book about his life and his works. We invited Leslie Berrio from Medellin, who is recording all the music from Luisa Calvo. This is a work that has never been done. Another important pianist, Sergei Shikov, is the pianist of the National Orchestra. And so it was very. This is a little town, and but with this connotation. I don't know if that is a word, but
it's perfect.
Yes, of historical relevance, and for musicians especially. So it was a very touching moment, yes, as well.
This is an amazing story to have been able to draw such influential people to Agua de Dios, as you say, a small town. I didn't get there because I wasn't allowed to leave Girardot. my wife's from Santander, so what she says, I have to obey. And I'm fascinated as well as when you had the musicians there playing, and I guess you were playing near to the statue of Luisa Calvo. What was the energy like? Because I always imagine that a place which has such an interesting background has a really different energy.
Yes. Well, the idea with PianoMóvil is to do things like that, is to convey the message to general public that we in Colombia, we have a richer heritage that we think, and that we need to discover and rediscover it permanently, and to and that is source of well-being, and of that is source of how would you call it? I would say proud, but something that pride, yeah. That we have reasons in Colombia to be proud of, in spite of all the difficult things, let's say. And with this concert, it was like a very it was something that was due for Luisa Calvo, I think. It's kind of homage. There's a museum that has his name for him, but it's a little house over there with all the antiquities, relics from his life. But people need to know more about this kind of things, and I think that this was a good example of what we would like to do all over the country. Like, there are other composers, there are other stories to tell, and we have to. Well, the challenge is as big as the country.
This is true. What I think here is, what I'm hearing is you could find not just. I mean, Luisa Calvo has I would say a recognized name, but maybe not all of the history around him, but you could find musicians and notable musicians who are perhaps not so well known all around Colombia, and you could pay them homage in those towns this way. I think it would be phenomenal. One of my big desires here in Colombia is to try and to start, and you're doing so, is pulling the culture out from under the blanket of, I would say, is the conflict. Everything is covered by the conflict, and yet there's so much here culturally that we can work with. And as I think you are suggesting, it is all part of a healing process.
Yes.
Is this what you would feel?
Oh yes, yes. It's like the good news are hidden beside the bad news. What I think Colombians will discover in the next years and decades, if the healing process continue and the peace process continue, is that we're going to discover that all this time we were richer than we thought. We were richer, and we have so many to share with the world and to tell to the world, and to have good foundation to create art and to tell stories, and and the healing power of music is something that we have confirmed so many times with PianoMóvil. For us, there's no doubt that art and music and sharing is part of the key.
Papas.
Yes, I think.
And they do things, and I'm sure they would be very open to receiving, the music and the know-how and your experience there. I think it's called Arte Suma Paz, and the website is artesumapaz.org, and I'm sure this, if we can put more people in contact who have the same ideas, it only gets stronger, and the desire to help and to grow and to heal becomes more powerful. Listen, I think it's amazing what you're doing, and I really hope that things improve in 2021 so that we can see you here in Colombia. Maybe if you're going to a town, if I'm near to Monpós, or if you're near to Bogota, I can come and see one of your companies.
We were not that far from Monpós. We were to San Juan de Betulia in Sucre.
Not far at all.
That was a wonderful experience. We remember and very much. We think of them every year because it was so wonderful.
And truly affected by the conflict.
Yes, as well. As well. Yes.
Well, Diego Franco, I'd like to say thank you so much for your time. I know you're busy, and you've got plenty of things to do, but you found time to get on the line to us from Paris to talk about this quite incredible project, this quite incredible movement. PianoMóvil. PianoMóvil.com. If any of you out there feel like donating some funds to ensure that this happens again next year, that they can transport a grand piano out to some of the more isolated parts and towns in Colombia and bring music. And I've seen the photos, you're surrounded by the children of the local areas, you're surrounded by the people. It's a beautiful thing that you are doing. So thank you so much for sharing this with my listeners.
Thank you. It's my pleasure, and thank you for presenting the project and to give us this opportunity. And yes, thank you for your support, and we're looking for all the support we can get. So thank you very much.
You're most welcome. So I've been talking to Diego Franco, a musician originally from Bogota, based in Paris, and this has been episode 352 of the Colombia Calling podcast. Do check out the website. Do check out PianoMóvil. That's MOVIL.com. I will put, of course, the link up on our Facebook page and on Twitter and so on. Do check it out. See how you can help. I think anything and everything is appreciated so that, in 2021 we can start the motors again of a cultural regeneration and, understanding Colombia's cultural heritage as well, pulling it out from beneath this this shadow of the conflict which seems to cover everything here. There is more to Colombia. So thank you again for listening. Please keep on spreading the word. Please keep on talking about the Colombia Calling podcast. Look at our Patreon page to see how you can help as well to ensure that we continue to grow and improve. And yes, I always love hearing from those of you out there who wish to hear about another person or project or so on here in Colombia. I will look them up, I will get in touch, I will badger them until they come on the Colombia Calling podcast. So that's me for this week, Richard McColl here in Bogota, Colombia. Thank you so much for listening. Everyone, please stay safe. Goodbye.
Llegar a la playa, va subiendo la corriente. Todos los guatarrayas, el pecador habla con la luna.